Thank you, sir.
Okay.
You gonna play with him?
Yeah, I want to.
It's getting big.
Yes, he is.
Okay, take us in.
It was night. Last night it was glowing.
That was glowing?
Yeah.
Wow, your garden is growing a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
You have more weeds over here.
Like this?
Yes, that's a weed. No, that's not a weed. We planted that.
No,
Look.
this.
Oh, yes, that's a weed. No, this is your zinnias.
Oh, yeah.
But that's a weed.
Is this a weed?
No, that's zinnias.
And what are these ones?
These are your green beans, but do you see this grass that's growing up in it? This grass is the worst. You gotta pull it out, but it connects in multiple places.
I can't pull out the grass.
You can, I believe in you. No, we can do hard things. I believe you can.
Mom, is this a weed?
Yes.
What big weed?
There's some amongst your green beans right there, Toby. When you've got a big one like that, grab the whole thing, okay? So you get the most leverage. And grab it right by the soil and pull up so you can get the roots out. You really got to get the roots out or it's just going to come right back. Perfect. Well done. Now use what I just taught you and pull that one up. Very good. Oh, sometimes it breaks. It's okay. Now grab what's left, and sometimes what you may need to do is kind of stick your finger in the soil a little bit to loosen up the roots.
Yeah.
And now pull it up by that. Very good. Perfect. Can you tell the difference here between what you planted and what's weeds?
Yeah, it's whiter.
Yep. Okay, so pull up the weeds.
I have to use this one.
Your strength. Okay, here you go. Here's some more.
Gonna do.
Well done, Ez. Y'all did it. It's weeded. We're down in the kids' garden. Here's Ezra. Say hi, Ezra. And we are just doing a little bit of work down here. We're going to thin some stuff out, and Ezra is going to tell you guys about his garden. He had an idea the other day that he wanted to make a video telling you about his garden. We need to thin these things out, so why don't you come here? Do you want to hold the camera?
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to do that?
Yeah.
We need to leave 2 plants here.
Why?
Okay, point the camera at me, okay? Okay, so we need to leave 2 plants on this trellis, Ezra.
Why?
Because if we leave too many, they'll be in competition and they won't be able to get enough nutrients or water.
Okay.
Does that sound okay? It's a hard job to do. Thinning is nobody's favorite job because we have to kill some of these plants. That's no good, huh? But if we leave them all, and we have 8 of these melon plants on this trellis, then they'll all end up drying up and they'll do poorly. So we need to pick 2 plants and cut the rest of them down. Probably should have done it a little while ago. They're a little established, but it's okay. So we need to pick 1 over on that side, and then we need to pick 1 over on this side.
I will keep this one.
I'm gonna keep that one and that one. Okay, so let's cut the rest of these down. You know what I think I may do, Ezra?
What?
I think I may transplant some of these because I have a couple of trellises in my garden where my melons didn't come up, and I think maybe we could move these established melons over there. What do you think? Sounds pretty good, huh?
Yeah.
All right, let's get a shovel.
Why are you putting these in there?
I'm gonna save them and I'm gonna go put them in my garden. Now come here. You need to see how this one has started to climb up this trellis?
Yeah.
And it has these little curly cues that hang on to it.
Yeah.
Well, that one didn't go up, and if you leave it alone, it'll crawl out across the ground. So you need to pick that up and lay it up against the trellis so it'll grab hold of it. Be very gentle not to break it. Very good. There you go. And we'll just check on it again tomorrow as it's grown a little taller. And we'll just lay it up here so that when it grows its curly cues, they'll hang on to the trellis, okay? Okay, now that you saw me thin these, do you feel like you could thin these over here?
I don't.
You don't? I think you can do it. Okay, so we're gonna keep this one. So why don't you
And this
flip?
one.
Okay, so go ahead and pull these up gently. So, yep, go ahead. Just pull it right on up. All right. Pull this one right on up.
Hey, I thought we were going.
We're not gonna save the cucumbers. I have enough cucumbers, so pull this one up. Okay. Now look here. Now this is a little trickier because these two are close together and you want to keep this one, so we want to make sure we don't mess with its roots. So we're going to gently pull this one away from that, okay? Because if they're really close together and you go ripping one of them out of there, you can mess with the roots of the one you're trying to keep. Pulling out healthy plants is so hard. It is so hard to thin. But truly, in the case of using these vertical trellises, if you overload them and you've got 5 or 6 or 7 plants on there, they're going to be really competing for that root space. And they're not going to be able to have enough water, especially things like cucumbers. They're so thirsty. And so whenever these plants are really large and they're covered in fruit and it's hot outside, I will be glad then that I pulled these up now.
I grew that one.
You grew that one?
Yeah, I put it in.
You put that one in? Okay, so are you ready to give everybody the tour and tell everybody what these things are? And say, my name is Ezra with Roots and Refuge Farm, and welcome to my garden.
My name is Ezra from Roots and Refuge Farm, and welcome to my garden.
Very good. Okay, let's tell our friends what you've got growing here.
This is a tomato.
That's a tomato plant. Do you remember what kind it is? I remember. Would you like me to tell you?
Yeah.
Chocolate pear.
Okay.
Okay, let's go down and let's show your other tomatoes.
Okay.
Oh, that's nice.
You see these flowers? This is where tomatoes will come from.
That's very good. You're right. Yeah, you got lots of flowers. Okay, that's a pepper plant.
What's that?
Basil. You want to taste it?
Yeah. It's full of leaves.
Yeah, it's full of leaf.
Mmm. That's good.
Yes, it's your garden. You get to eat whatever you want.
Here I got cucumbers.
That's very good. They're called muncher cucumbers.
Okay.
Poke it in. Here's a good way to have your kids help plant, where you lay the seeds out and then have them poke them down into the soil. That avoids the issue of spacing and also them getting planted way too
That was
deeply.
hard.
You just poke it in like that.
Yeah, I think I can.
Go ahead. Use your thumb. Thumbs are easier.
But for
Very
me,
good.
fingers are easier.
Yeah. I've got one more thing that I got out of y'all's seed collection that I thought you might want to plant.
What is it?
What are those?
Sunflowers?
Sunflowers. And you've got a little bit of space right here. You want to put a few of those in?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, let's go put these. I've got a trellis that needs something on it. Okay, let's go over there. Right here, this trellis. This trellis I planted multiple times with a melon called Chrysanthemum Melon, and they kept sprouting but then getting eaten by pests. You can see this is the Chrysanthemum Melon that I have that has lived, and so we just grabbed 3 of these plants from the kids' garden, and I'm going to put 2 on this side and 1 over here. So we'll have 2 different kinds of melons growing on this trellis. The type of melon that the kids had in their garden was Golden Jenny, which is a really good little cantaloupe. So that's what we're going to put here.
Cantaloupe.
Go ahead and set those seeds down. You don't have to hold those right now. Just set them down in the bed. And then let's get some holes in. You want to do it? Okay, we need 1 here and then 1 down over on this side.
We need to deep.
All right, that soil's looking good, huh? It's nice and damp after yesterday's rain. So now take the melons and let's put them in there. All right, now very gently you need to put the soil back over it. Be careful, do it with your hands instead of the shovel so we don't accidentally cut that melon plant in half.
Oh, okay, that head's getting in the way. Achoo! Long.
You can do it. I believe in you. You can do hard things.
Is that enough?
It's like tucking that plant into bed. You got to get him all tucked in there so his roots are good and covered up, and so he can get his water and his food, because his root system is how he gets that stuff. So we got to tuck him into bed, okay?
He's in bed.
Now, you guys see Ben in the garden all the time. And I actually get the question, they're like, do your other kids have any interest in gardening? And they do. And I seek to nurture that. But like, for instance, 15 minutes in his garden and one small task in mine, and Ezra's pretty hard complaining and being like, I'm done. Hey Iris. What's up, girlfriend? You don't know. This is our niece. Hey Toby, what's up, man?
Good.
Good. So I always want to like nurture inclinations in my kids. You know, you see, I try with like all of them to give them equal opportunity in the garden and to do little things like make fun memories, moving some melons and planting some seeds. However, whenever I'm on my second hour of weeding on just like a regular day of work, which there are a lot of days that are just boring old work in the garden, and I'm down here, you know, blasting music, sweating my butt off and weeding, Ben is the one who's here, because he loves the garden in a different way, and that's okay. I want to give them all equal opportunity to find out if that inclination is there. But truly, like, if a person is inclined to something, that pushes them towards it. And even at 4 years old, he's out here working and he's not complaining 2 hours into weeding. However, Ezra, who loves just being with me, and so I do invite him into the garden. He does come and help me. Ezra can spend like an entire meal prep. I mean, I can cook an elaborate dinner and Ezra will help every step of the way and never get tired of it. He doesn't get frustrated. He doesn't start complaining. He works diligently because he's inclined to it. And so I make room for my kids in the areas where I see strengths. Hey, Iris. And like now, Jackson, who's 13, who also really loves to be in the kitchen. I mean, he's 13 years old and he can cook meals as well as a lot of the adults that I know, if not even better. So, you know, I have a lot of people ask me about working in the garden and how do you do that with kids. And I think that you make room and you allow them to be there. But if they're really, really inclined to it, you're going to see that when the work is actually being done. I feel like this garden is changing all the time. Every day it looks more full.
Yeah, you're right. Last one, now it's like way more full.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, look at you, handsome. What's his name?
Casper.
Casper.
Just Casper.
Hey, Casper. Hey, handsome. That's Maya's friend, Ranger. He lives down the road and he just stopped by with his Great Dane. My dogs are like, what? That's funny. Great Danes are cool dogs. Con is a cool dog. He's really funny. He's just a baby, but he's obviously bigger than either of our other dogs, but like Gabe, the puppy, puts Con like in his place. Like Gabe will bark at him and Con's like, you know, running scared. Danes are hilarious. So if you are wanting to raise gardeners, you got kids and you want to teach them, you have to make room for them to experience the garden. It is hard to do sometimes. It is hard to give up control. It is hard to make room for mistakes. I mean, I've been teaching Benjamin how to prune because he is down here doing the work. He is willing to come down here and genuinely help me at 4 years old, genuinely weed garden beds. He's learning the information and he's willing to help. And so I have to be willing to take risks to teach him. And I've been teaching him under supervision to prune tomato plants. As you can imagine, that's a little nerve-wracking. He has killed a few plants. He's got them right off at the base. And so now I make sure that I'm watching him really closely, but he's learning how. And how cool is it going to be whenever he is 6 or 7 years old and he's got the coordination control? How cool is it going to be that he'll have the knowledge to come down and actually prune tomato plants? That's amazing. Like, to me, I think of the fact that I have an opportunity to raise kids that having a garden will actually just be a completely normal part of their life. And that is worth a risk, is it not? This is something that I get asked a lot about, though, being a mom that always has kids in the garden, and I know many of you are parents and you're desiring to instill that in your children. And I really wanted to make this video today, honoring Ezra's desire to be in the garden and to be a part of our YouTube channel and what we're sharing. But I also want to encourage you with just like the realistic expectation that some kids are more inclined than others. Give them all equal opportunity and let the work involved be the screen door. Like that basically whoever is willing to go through the work involved, they're going to get through that screen door, and they're going to get to be the ones that get the harder lessons and more attention on that. Obviously, it's not favoritism that I've been in the garden more with me. Ben's willing to be down here and work, and therefore, my kids, any of them, at any point can come down and help work in the garden. They can help do the weeding. They'll get the extra time. They'll get to be the ones that eat the first ripe tomatoes that come on the plants. Some of them, they're just not that interested, and that's okay. I want them to have positive memories. I want them to learn about it and at their own pace and at their own time. And I have hope that all of them at some point are going to just like catch the passion for this. I hope that makes sense. I know that may be a little bit scattered, but essentially I just want to encourage you to recognize inclinations in your children and make room for those. Be willing to take a risk. I just have this desire in my heart to see a generation of gardeners like come up, my children's generation. I desire to see a generation of gardeners come up and be passionate about this, and more than anything else, for it to be just normal. Like, wouldn't that be absolutely incredible? I was raised by a gardener, but it just wasn't something that I showed a lot of interest in as a child. My mom always made room for me. I have so many memories of like passing through the garden and my mom showing me things, and she was passionate about it, and she always made room for me. She never pushed me, she never made me do it. But it was just a very normal part of my upbringing, but I wasn't super inclined towards it. But as an adult, whenever I was like in my mid-20s and I first really started saying, I really want to grow a garden, who do you think the first person that I called was? My mom, because she had always been ready and willing to teach me that. And, it's kind of where I'm at with my kids. I have one who quite literally has the potential to just be an extraordinary gardener by the time that he's a preteen. Our daughter, who will actually be here today, we have a blended family in case you're new here, she has a real inclination towards gardening. She's out here with me all summer long. Again, I make room for that inclination. But my 4 other boys, they could take it or leave it. They like it sometimes. They really like hanging out with me. They like eating food in the garden when it starts to produce. They're down here eating all the time. Totally welcome that. There's room for it. But, we'll see. Maybe it'll stick. Maybe they'll be 25 and they'll call me up one day and say, hey, Mom, will you teach me how to garden? At which point I will be like, yes, I will. Thank you guys for hanging out with me today. I bless you. Until next time.